Hello everybody, I hope you're all well. Welcome back to another Doctor Who Big Finish audio drama review. In today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the opening box set for the latest Master spin-off with Big Finish, and it is of course featuring Sacha Dhawan's Master from the 13th Doctor era in Inner Demons. This box set is available to order now on the Big Finish website on both physical CD and digital download, although do be warned, the physical box set is limited edition to 1,000 units, so once it is sold out, it will be out of print for good. This box set is divided into 3 one-hour stories, all of which are written by 3 separate writers. So Robert Valentine pens episode 1 being self-help. This story is the most fun that I've had with a Robert Valentine script in a while. It's a really effective way to introduce this spin-off and the incarnation of the Master as a whole to the listener. It establishes the type of spin-off that this is going to be. Derek Jacobi, Michelle Gomez and Eric Roberts now all have their own respective Master spin-offs with Big Finish, therefore it's crucial that they all have their own distinguishing personality, as otherwise what's the point? As a big fan of The War Master, of course that spin-off is my favourite, and it had a confidence in its identity from that very first volume, which I think instantly got it off to a brilliant start. Now I don't think that this box set quite does the same to the same degree, but it's certainly on the way to developing its own identity, which is really important. It definitely shows that there is lots of potential for the future with this incarnation. So this newly regenerated Master is hiking up a mountain on a quest to meet the Great Zenith. The Master has a plan to impersonate the Great Zenith and let his other grand plan unfold, but this doesn't quite go to plan. The story structure throws Sacha right in at the deep end. It's a character exploration story, and it's evident that this Master has his own inner demons, hence the title of this box set overall. To me as a listener, he doesn't feel as competent as the Masters who came before. He has lost his sense of self. So having the Master participate in his very own therapy group session is such a great, wonderful idea. I do love Sacha's rather erratic, chaotic performance in this episode. Isolated in this cave, he manages to effectively hold multiple scenes as the only character, whilst also portraying the instability of this Master in a really fun fashion. As the story progresses, this Master does begin to find himself, and with that comes a lot of meddling. Despite this episode being the opening story, these early scenes are in fact some of my favourite from within this box set. The story has quite a number of jokey, funny moments, and I enjoyed listening along. I think Sacha does fun very well, especially when he's talking to himself, which he does quite a lot. It's also quite interesting hearing how dedicated the other members of this therapy session are to this cause. The weight that they place on this therapy process, but also their own personal intentions for being there. Now, the main bulk of this story does take a while to get going. It is quite the slow burner to begin with, because something rather hilarious happens, and that is that the Master makes a mistake, which he's not very happy about, and again, it's that incompetence shining through. Having the Master participate in basically group therapy is an inspired, ridiculous idea, but it works really well. It's imaginative, which I think is really important. I love hearing how the Master interacts with Leslie, Garth, Scylla and Christopher, really putting the wellness techniques to the test on his search for his own personal identity and his true self. It's an episode which gives me confidence in this series moving forward. So episode 2 is The Clockwork Swan as written by Georgia Cook. A futuristic hologram theatre is putting on a classic whodunit play, except the members of the cast are dying and Inspector Lemaitre is on the case. It is of course the Master in disguise, who would have thought it? Now it is quite an interesting concept. The actors don't know who the Master is nor what danger they are in, and therefore it's kind of like watching a wildlife documentary before disaster hits. It's one of those stories. For most of the first half, the Master is playing up to this Poirot-style French investigator, complete with OTT accent. And again, this allows Sacha to have a lot of fun, showcasing his range as the Master. And again, it's quite a bold way to do a second episode of a series, as it's not completely the Master on show, it's him playing a character. It embraces this Master's way of embodying an identity to discover his own personal evil traits, much like how we've seen on screen. Arguably, it may also show that this Master hasn't quite decided who he is himself yet. I did listen to this episode twice, and I came to appreciate it more on second listen. To begin with, I was quite distracted by the environment and understanding the quirks and mannerisms of Lemaitre as a personality, as there is quite a lot to bear in mind. It's unusual, as I think getting to know this Master through him pretending to be other people kind of works. But like myself initially, some may find this quite distracting or simply not like the idea. Once we enter the second half of the story, the more masterful side raises its head. It's another great performance, and I especially enjoyed how Sacha plays off with Madison Bullyman as Naisif the theatre usher. They are perfect within the audio form as their performances pack so much punch, the danger, the threat, the fear. It all feels so very real. There is a clear dislike between them towards the end. The tension within the final act especially delivers a satisfying conclusion. I certainly felt for Naisif in ways that I didn't feel as connected to Elta in the third story of this box set. But so far it's a good sign because each of the episodes have had their own shining moment. The chaotic characteristics within episode 1 again continue. This master is simply skipping through the universe, creating his own mischief. I did also think that there was further little references to this master's personal self-confidence. He doesn't feel as calm and collected as other incarnations. He doesn't feel as polished either, but Sacha portrays this like a lit firework aimed in every single direction. There is so much energy, which comes across really well within the vocal performance. It grabs the listener's attention. I'll admit The Clockwork Swan is a story which I didn't give enough credit to on first listen. The way that it addresses AI and the future of technology in the realm of acting and theatre, and the way that this threatens this area of work, it should be commended for that. And given this story's high energy, it won't be to everyone's tastes. It's a great way of exploring the threats of AI, but the story perhaps doesn't give as much focus to this as you may expect. It's one of many things going on. Very much like an incarnation of the Doctor, if this is a master that you don't enjoy as much, and if you have an incarnation that you tend to favour, then you're more likely to enjoy an adventure featuring them. I think the master is just like the Doctor in that regard. You will enjoy the adventures that they feature within more so than others. The Good Life by Una McCormack is the final story of the volume, and it's a rather fun, fantastical story. A remote island of holy men and holy women, ensuring the balance is kept within this small society. And Elta wants to discover more, so she goes there to be taught by the teachers. But there is a new mysterious man on the island, and the balance is about to be tipped. This story feels incredibly fairy tale, very mysterious, and dabbling in unknown things. It's more magical than sci-fi. It's a bit like the legend of Baba Yaga from The Fugitive Doctor Volume 1, so I did really enjoy that aspect of the episode. It's a much slower story, but I enjoyed hearing the elements come together. The world building is very strong, the progression from peace to tension to chaos matches this incarnation of the Master perfectly. The sound design also really helps the listening experience, the storms, the rain, the bizarre, almost hypnotic music. If you close your eyes, it's as if you're there with the characters. But beyond the story synopsis, if you are familiar with Master stories, especially the War Master, this story's layout will be nothing new. It's the Master going to a society and causing as much disruption as possible. I think it's a good demonstration of the evil within the Master, the chaos as well. I found the early scenes when he seems more conflicted about good and bad to be perhaps some more interesting elements of the episode. It's as if when he came down on the bad side, it became not necessarily predictable, but you knew that he would come to that in the end, so I liked him kind of questioning that a bit more. But again, this makes all three stories in this box set thematically come together, a Master figuring out who they are. But Sacha's performance is intriguingly erratic and unstable, which I suppose makes this incarnation quite unique. Elta is a good, innocent opposite that then exaggerates how the Master enjoys being bad, because, well, why not? Again, this episode comes down to competency, I think. This Master is playing with people, forcing tensions between the locals and the incomers and dividing them. It's not a very advanced society, so for most of the duration the locals can't really comprehend what is going on or why, and because of that, I suppose the Master is less calculative, less manipulative, and more unpredictable, because he doesn't really need to trick anyone because they just don't understand what's going on. There's less threat to his plan, I suppose. And again, he has lots of sharp outbursts and unstable anger. It feels like that this Master is gaining his feet, starting to understand who he is, whilst also longing for the competency of the War Master incarnation. But then again, I do enjoy the War Master's more measured approach to things. I think it's more chilling and threatening, so perhaps that is why I do like this Master less, but I still found the episode enjoyable. I did enjoy Elta as a character in the way that she embodies this mysterious realm and learning about the various fantastical things within, but I think I would have liked a few additional scenes prior to the story series events to bond with the character a little bit more, understand why she is doing what she is doing, why does she want to figure out more about this place. Maybe a few more unusual interactions with the bizarre teachers of the island, just to understand who she is as a person. It is perhaps an episode where the location and concept has came before the characters, but I did still love the idea and its bold, unique nature. Call Me Master Inner Demons is a promising start to the Sacha Master range with Big Finish, with 3 very individual stories which illustrate this master's inability and self-discovery. Mentally, the stories are quite fast-paced and frantic, much like the master himself, but all deliver rather satisfying conclusions. I think this set acts as an effective setup for this master as he learns who he is. Episode 1's cave sequences at the very beginning of the box set display that, I think, most effectively, but also show the most promising scenes from Sacha moving forward. Each story has ideas which wouldn't look out of place within New Who, the disguises are very fun, and the concepts within this range go from very sci-fi to also fantastical, so it's nice to have that variety. It kept me entertained throughout, and most importantly, I'm interested to see where Call Me Master goes next as it continues to find its feet. Whilst it isn't the strongest start to a spin-off I've experienced, I think Sacha would certainly benefit from facing a foe, a monster or villain that us listeners are more aware of, as the series is certainly forming an identity for itself, but maybe it needs a more challenging, complex or out there plot arc to tie the 3 stories together, similar to how we've seen most recently with the War Doctor Rises within Fallen Heroes. That's a rather complex and interesting idea, spanning 3 whole stories, rather than as we see within this box set, which is 3 rather safe, self-contained 1-hour episodes. Normally, with expanded media, I feel like we have adventures that are rather disconnected from the TV series. Big Finish want to put their own stamp on a particular character or era of the show, and I'm about to recommend something that I never thought I would, and I think it would be nice if Chris Chibnall actually came on as a sort of creative director for this series perhaps, and suggested some detailed ideas that he would have liked to explore with Sacha's Master, but ultimately we never got to on screen. I think maybe a way moving forward for this series would be for one box set to hone in on a specific moment actually within the 13th Doctor era and explore that a bit more deeply. For example, one thing that's leaping to mind is the years within Spyfall when he pretended to be that agent, or even when he was stuck on Earth for a number of years. That would give the entire box set an intention or purpose, but also perhaps allow for a 3-hour story rather than 3 self-contained episodes. Ultimately, it would add a little bit more meat to the bones in an era which I think often lacked depth. But it's something of which that I've touched on within this review. The thing with the Master is all of the incarnations are incredibly varied, and every single Master spin-off is not going to be for everyone, because arguably even more so than the Doctor, each Master is very, very different, and they all have different ways of going about things. But this series has potential, and I'm interested to see where it goes. So thank you very much for watching this review. I really hope you have enjoyed it. Do of course stay tuned on The Host Productions for regular reviews of the latest Big Finish releases. Have a nice day, and I shall see you all next time.